Hey guys, I'm back. I'm trying to do a project here on my 2012 F250 with the CCV, which is the crankcase ventilation. Trying to get rid of the stock one because it's supposedly a piece of junk. So, what I bought? I bought this Spelab kit. A little history on it. I bought this several months ago. Went to put it on, and it's a pretty solid little kit. I mean, it's got the bracket, fully billet aluminum catch can here. It's got a bunch of fittings and everything everywhere. I'm going to go over some of the stuff. There's all your other pieces and hosing. Doesn't look bad, but I ran into a big issue with it. And when I got this thing, after I got everything off, much sweating and cussing and all sorts of stuff. It was summer when I tried to do this. So, there is this special zero molecule catch can looking thing, they say. And it is supposed to be, according to the website, the first thing that goes in. And it fits, you can see that little notch there. So it fits in here. This is going to be fun with one hand, by the way. So it fits in there like that. That seals up against right back there. So you can see the two holes back there. So you gotta go to line it up one direction, and it goes that far, and it gets stuck, and it won't seat. So I spin it at 180 degrees. Mind you, I can't spin the other part because it's locked into that little square. Same situation. It gets stuck. It goes in actually kind of crooked. So some way, it's hitting something down underneath. I don't know if this casting is wonky or what happened or something's hitting somewhere. So I contacted Spelab email. Said, hey, problem with this. I just want a refund because it's just not fitting. Because this thing was like $400. So we went back and forth a few times. I said, hey, bottom line, the zero molecule does not fit back there. I could put the other pieces. Does not do this, but I paid so much for this. So I just want to send it back. Just stick with the original. Because I could put that piece and that piece on there and run out and go up to my catch can and run out. But the whole purpose of paying so much was for this thing. It's supposed to just saturate a lot of the, the airborne oil coming through the breather there and let it drip back down into the casing. At least that's the idea, There's a quotes there, But they ultimately just refunded it and said keep it. So, my thought is modify. So, I'm going to take my grinder. First thing I may do, I'm going to get my little camera out and look down inside the valve cover and see if I can see what exactly, because it feels like it's hitting down here somewhere. And if that's the only hiccup and it's not really along the sides or anything, I might just cut like a ½ inch off the bottom of this and try to get that thing to settle down in there. But I can't tell whether this part's going to fit in the casting of the valve cover because I can't get it all the way down. So we might have to do this in stages. I'm not going to get too aggressive. I think I might just cut this first line off and start there and see how that fits. I just need to get down and get flush. And then from there, they had this thing. And to be honest with you, I don't really understand the purpose of the line coming back. I mean, yeah, it mounts on the other side of that. And I tried fitting this up originally, and this just points right into the firewall with like maybe a ½ inch of room right here. And you flip it around the other way, and then it hits the valve cover. So this whole thing is retarded. Pardon my weirdness of words, but it's dumb. And then I don't even understand what this is for. Maybe if you want to just not use that, and they just threw this whole kit together. So maybe you put that on there, and then that goes on there, and by the time you do that, that's really into the firewall, so that's pretty stupid. This is obviously to cover up the second hole when you take your stock breather out, which is, where'd I put that thing? Oh, it's outside. Dadgummit, it's sitting outside. Draining. Because, yeah, there's that second hole right there. Because I guess this thing kind of comes through and just does the back and forth business. And then it clips into, well, this tube right here that goes into your turbo. So your turbo's pulling a little vacuum. And, it's pulling some oil in there. So I just kind of want to eliminate that so it's not pulling oil down into my engine, because these aren't, like all the new vehicles, they're not direct port injection, but this is a diesel, so that's not going to even ever be a case anyways. I'm sorry, port injection. On a gasoline engine, you would have port injection, or you'd have direct cylinder injection. A lot of the older ones were port injection, now they've gone to direct cylinder injection. That's not even an issue here. So meanwhile, I'm getting oil all built up, and when I did all my fuel rail replacement and all that stuff, I noticed quite a bit of oil buildup inside the valve covers, because they act as the intake manifolds as well. They kind of come in and do this business. So, and honestly, it wasn't just the CCV adding to that. My turbo was leaking as well. So a lot of that was going past and, just making a big giant mess. But I just want to bypass all of that and make sure no oil is going into there. I believe I can make this work. So that's what that's for. It covers up that second hole. So yeah, I'm going to get some tools out, see if, I don't know if anybody else has had this issue, and I don't know why they wouldn't have, because it just doesn't fit. So, time to go modify. And I'm not using this. This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you'd want to go up into this and loop back into that just to go up and go out of it again. Why? I mean, just put this straight on top of that into there and back around. Maybe, because there's no connection between there and there. So it's only going to push and pull through that one line. You're just kind of going up and down and doing all this business. It makes no sense to me. So that's the object. Plug, put, bent, mount, blah, 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 run a hose down and out and what have you. And they gave me like this big rubber cap here, and I think that's for the hose going into the turbo. I'm not sure if it's going to trip a code saying we've got no CCV, because there is a sensor on that line back there. You can kind of see it where it plugs into it. So I don't know how I'm going to manage that, unless maybe I can get this hose off of the end of the connector right there and then put that rubber on, or cut it and then put the rubber and clip it on that way. I'm not sure. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So for now, we'll see if we can modify this thing and get it in. Okay, so after some engineered hackery, well, I'll get that in a second. It's hard to do with one hand. So there is my hack job of, basically this thing was kind of shaped like it went down, sort of wedgish. So I just straightened up the sides using a hand angle grinder. Oh my Lanta, why don't you cooperate? Is this that little notch there? It's got to line up. Oh my Lord, I have no dexterity with just one hand. Anyways, I'm going to put this down for a second. Just trying to get it in. All right. That's what he said. All right, let's so now, with the hack job, she sets in there flush, and I can spin it both ways past without it hanging up. Now, I did cut, let me get down. Did cut just I'll find it here, a little bit off the end of that. I'm not sure that was necessary for me to do. But I did look down there with my scope camera, and it looked kind of shallow, but you might just try shaving the edges down first and getting it kind of square, or at least parallel lines there. I did have to do some up here as well because it looked like it was scraping up there. Same on that side. Just trying to get the whole thing one size all the way down. But now it fits. So if you have this issue, that could be a fix for you if they just gave it to you. Otherwise, I'm sure you got to return. But I'm going to go ahead and start putting some stuff together and see where we end up. Alright, we got a little more engineered hackery here. So this is what plugs up that second hole. Nothing else in the kit that tells me otherwise. Anyways, the bolt that goes in here, or was on the original, was one of these, and this holds some wiring. There's a clip that the wiring goes onto. So what I had to do, I assume that's what this little piece is they give you, because it screws right into there. So I screwed that one into here, cut it off. As you can see, all my crazy marks with my, hackery. That's what we're talking about. Anyways, so that will go, got a lock washer underneath of it. That'll go in there, because I need a longer bolt anyways. That'll tighten down on the valve cover. I'll set this about right there, and then I'll put that one in, because the width of that would hit the head of there. So I have to do it in stages. Got to put this on first, set that, tighten it down, then put that one in, tighten it down, and then I can put my wire retainer on it. All right, let me get after it. All right, these are the leftovers. This guy, which I'm still not computating why you would go to the catch can, come back out of the catch can to go here, and then from here go up to another tube to the back. Why not just go up to the catch can and then from a tube go out? Why loop in and loop out? It makes no sense. Plus this thing hits the firewall. I'm not going to use it anyways. I had another thought when I was doing this how I was going to design it. But after some reading and research, I did not do that. I was going to put the out back into the intake, but there's been some reports about maybe some back pressure or something. This is a dual vane turbo as well, and it's got like these two ports up inside that intake, so I think if there's like some sort of blow off or something, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I'm not going to take the risk. So they gave me this rubber fitting here, and this tubing actually just kind of broke, so I hope it doesn't break again, but it's nice and soft. We'll see how this thing works. And I did use the stack, if you can see it back there, because just like to have a little chamber to sort of, I don't know, maybe if the little oil gets past, it'll hit it and drool back down in, who knows. And then that curls up, routes underneath, comes up here, because for some reason that 90-degree fitting is a larger size than the fittings that are on the catch can. Naturally, instead of giving me a reducer, I just use some of the special crankcase ATV stuff. We'll see how it works. Not crankcase, what do they call it? Rear diff sealant, I think is what it's called. So we'll see how it works. Try it out. That loops in back to there, then I got that coming, and for right now, it's just terminating here. But if I start smelling too much or what have you, I'll just do the same thing, pop that one inside of there and just run it down and out somewhere. So we're gonna see how this all works out. The catch can was mighty nice. It's in there. Looks good. Looks tidy. They gave you the nuts. I had to put the washers on. Let's see if we can get out of there. You can see. So back there, it's got a little slot right here, so it cuts out and goes in there. That's a nice little setup, and I made sure it clears the fuel lines. So that is that. I'm sure there's 1,000 videos out here on this. I'm really not exactly sure on that. This whole get up over here with that intake line. I mean, these are supposed to be 0 molecule, so there's really not supposed to be any oil after it goes through the little 0 molecule catch can that's in the valve cover up to another catch can that's filtered from there. I wouldn't think anything can get in there. But then there's the whole pressure thing. So if there is some sort of negative pressure, it'll be able to pull back. Obviously positive pressure push through, and I just don't know how that's going to operate with the intake, because that'll always be, I would assume, a negative pressure on the line pulling and drawing, since it is on the intake side. But again, I don't know how those, because you look up and then there's these 2 other holes coming through that intake that look like this stuff kind of loops around through. So I'm just going to take it out of the equation and not cause any, don't want any pressure problems with the crankcase. But that is it. Any questions, let me know.